Thanks for tuning in to A Better World. I'm your host, Luis Acevedo, and there has been continuous talk regarding the decision in Alabama and the 4 other states to ban abortions essentially outright, with Alabama being the most restrictive one in place. And good for these 5 states, rather. It is a good sign for America because it shows that we're redirecting the ship here and heading towards the straight and narrow and reuniting with the old traditions that has made this country so great. And if you disagree with this, I just want to show you something that I found really interesting. Actually, it's something I knew for quite a while, but I haven't talked about it. And today, as I was getting ready to do the show, I thought about it and I said, you know what, I need to bring this up because I'm sure not too many people understand or even know the history of Roe v. Wade. They just say it is the constitutional right of a woman having an abortion because it's the right to privacy. She has the right to abort what's inside of her. When in reality, if you look at the statistics, it clearly shows, as I've talked about before, this is something that I have talked about, and this is from a pro-abortion institution, Alan Guttmacher, and it is posted on Human Life International. And it shows that 99.31% of all abortions are performed for social or economic reasons, which is what Roe v. Wade was about. Now, most of you may not know the woman who is behind Roe v. Wade, the woman who ended up taking the court case all the way to the Supreme Court. Her name is Norma McCorvey. And she discovered she was pregnant with her 3rd child at 21. And at this time, mind you, there's a little background on her that at the age of 14, she divorced herself from God and decided that God didn't exist and sex was not profane, and decided to run around and start having sex left and right because it wasn't a sin to her anymore. And what happened was she ended up having a failed marriage at 16 and had a child, and at 19 she had a 2nd child, and at 21, 22 she had her 3rd child, and she was single. You know, the epidemic that's going on in America right now, the single motherhood, because we're losing our faith in God and the state's replacing the father. It's just the facts. I mean, they did it to the black community back in the 1960s and 50s, if I'm recalling correctly. I think it was just the 60s with LBJ's War on Poverty. Ended up separating the black dads from the mothers and the families because it said, hey, girl, you don't need no man. We'll take care of you. We'll give you welfare. We'll give you food stamps. Just leave him and come with the state. We got you, girl. We'll be your sugar daddy. That's what the government did. That's what LBJ did. And it destroyed the black families. And now it is becoming more pervasive and hurting all demographics in America. Single motherhood is at an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken. I won't say that, but I know that it has increased dramatically. I will say that I believe it is at an all-time high. With the computer right here, I'll look up right now. Single motherhood on the rise. Alright, I accidentally pressed like the new tab button 7 times. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is having multiple tabs open, although I have to do this when I'm doing these shows so that way I can have the information right at my fingertips. That way I know I'm not giving you wrong information here. Let's see, I'm not finding anything about the statistics here. It won't be that big of a deal if I can't find it anyway, because we already know that single motherhood is very damaging. Let's see, there are 10 million single mother-led families in the United States. That is 3 times the number in 1960. In 1960, when the sexual revolution took place, you know, saying, oh, guess what? You should be able to divorce if you want to divorce without any consequences whatsoever. There should be no proof. There should be no burden on anybody. Just divorce if you want to divorce. We got rid of default divorce. We should bring that back. We should bring that back into law, and it would help so many people, I guarantee it. And it will also make marriage what it's supposed to be, and also, you know, with the whole legalization of gay marriage, also distorted what marriage is supposed to be as well. Marriage is a bond between a man and a woman. They become one, and then they create a family and reproduce, because that is the purpose. That is not the purpose, but rather that is the goal of all species on this earth is to continuously reproduce to keep their species alive. And if you do not have sex between both sexes, well, then you can't keep the species alive. Anyway, so let's see, 40% of babies in the United States are born to single mothers. That is a staggering number, and we know that it is no good. Most men who grow up in single mother households end up an alcoholic, a drug addict, go to prison, go to jail, break laws, end up in, they're just really susceptible to all realms of criminality. And women end up being extremely promiscuous and falling down the same trap that their single mothers did. It's just a horrible cycle. Maybe it should be deemed child abuse. I don't know. It sounds extreme, I know. But with these new debates that we're having on abortion, they're really not new. But we are seeing the left and the establishment as a whole shaking in their boots because people are waking up and realizing what is going on is so wrong on so many levels. So let's get back to Jane Doe was her pseudonym for the case for Roe v. Wade, and her real name is Norman McCauley. And so at 22, she had her third pregnancy. She did not want the child. I'm reading this from an article from Politico right now. And after her adoption lawyer mentioned that he happened to know Linda Coffey, a lawyer readying to challenge the Texan law on abortion, Norma McCauley became Jane Doe, not because she wished to see abortion legalized, but because she wished to have one. As she later told the New York Times, "I just wanted the privilege of a clean clinic to get the procedure done." What they failed to tell you in this article is that she, at first, tried to get the abortion by claiming she was raped. Yeah, she lied about being raped in order to, in an attempt to get an abortion. Yeah, evil, disgusting. Just saying, I don't want the third child. I disowned God, and now I think sex is awesome, and I can have it with whoever I want to and face no consequences, but damn it, now I'm 22 with 3 children. I need to get rid of this one. You know, I can't accept responsibilities for my mistakes. It just needs to die. It needs to be gone. I can't handle it. Be gone from me. That's what she was trying to do, and she was like, well, I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie to do this. And, yeah, that didn't work initially, but, well, unfortunately, what isn't mentioned in any of the court cases is the fact that she lied about rape. So this was a political football, and this is where the Supreme Court started becoming politicized. Because nowhere in the Constitution does it state a woman has a right to an abortion. The amendments in which they refer to are the 9th and 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment simply states privacy, and which is what they quote, and also naturalization of a person born in the United States, and a few other things as well, but nothing about if you are pregnant, you can kill the child within you. No, because our founders who wrote the Constitution were men of God. Therefore, they knew once a woman was pregnant, a human life, was growing inside of them, and it would be deemed egregious. It would be deemed awful, disgusting on so many levels to kill that child within the womb. So never once would the founders ever agree to this. And I'm not just saying this because I think I know them. I'm just saying this because it's obvious. Because if you look at the woman who was the main person pushing Roe v. Wade, she later, in 1995, she accepted Jesus again and disavowed Roe and her homosexuality as well. She then became an advocate, and she, advocacy began again, just on the other side. So, the woman who started all this, guess what she did? She became pro-life. The people who support Roe v. Wade do not know the history about it. We need to stop being retarded, okay? We really do. Don't just follow things blindly. Understand where it comes from. And follow it to see if it still holds ground. It doesn't. Even the woman who was in the court case doesn't agree with it anymore. It's not a constitutional right, like people are making it out to be. Hillary Clinton, for example, tweeted out saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so harmful to women's rights." women's rights are humans' rights too. They need to have the right to kill humans because they're women, and women are superior. Come on. Nobody says women don't have rights. They are humans. We treat them as humans. Not once. And the whole argument that's coming out now, well, masturbation should be considered genocide. I've been seeing this all over Facebook. I'm sure you guys have too. Masturbation should be considered genocide. It makes no sense. You can't make life with just sperm. Sperm isn't life. Stop being retarded. You need a sperm and an egg. If masturbation is genocide, what is having a period then? That would be deemed genocide as well. Don't you just, you're menstruating and therefore you're having eggs that weren't fertilized flushed out of your system. Genocide. With that logic. See, if we keep going down this road of illogical arguments, where we're going to end up is this, because the only way to make it, it's not even logical either way, but the only way to have consistency with this argument, what I can see, maybe I'm missing something here, maybe you guys can add something to this, would be to either A, sterilize both the men and women, that way you have no more semen being wasted and you have no more eggs being wasted because they're both sterilized, and then have the state control reproduction. Or you can have the state assign a man to a woman and guarantee that no sperm and no eggs will be wasted, and enforce copulation unwantedly. Those are the only two ways that you would solve that issue by going down the line of thinking of masturbation as genocide. It's just stupid. Don't be stupid. We're smarter than this, okay? We really are. Now, the other argument that I saw, which is disgusting as well, is a woman from The View saying that white men should have vasectomies since they're passing these legislations. First off, it was 7 white men who lived like 100 years ago, for like 100 years, ever since the court case has been out. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Do not want to be leading you guys astray. All right. Gotta go. Okay. It says Roe v. Wade was decided by 7 men born 100 years ago. Okay. So tell me again. Try to defend your argument against men being involved in having a right to say anything when men were the ones who gave women the right to kill their children. Come on. Pay attention to history. Don't just blindly follow what the script is, what the manufactured script is. Don't blindly follow it. If you do, you'll be led astray, like so many people are right now. The woman who led the way for Roe v. Wade end up saying, I regret my decision. It was wrong on so many levels. I want to overturn it. She's dead now. But before she died, she became pro-life. And I have a feeling, I had this epiphany today as I was on my run. I truly do think all the millennials who are outraged by this, as we grow older, more and more of us will become conservative, will become nationalistic, and God-fearing individuals. So I have hope for this country, I really do. I don't think bad things will come. I think we will have hard times, but overall I believe we will prevail because we're starting to wake up. We have 5 states. They're shaking in their boots because Roe v. Wade's going to be overturned. It shouldn't even been accepted in the first place because it was all built upon a lie. A lie that a woman who later then said it was wrong and became pro-life, a lie that I was raped, and that's why I'm pregnant, when in reality she just was extremely promiscuous and didn't want to take responsibility for her action until later in life and realizing it was wrong. That's what's going to happen to so many people as we get older in this generation. Unfortunately, so many of us have been manipulated and brainwashed. I was there too, guys. I used to be a hardcore Democrat, not gonna lie. My wife and I were on opposite sides at the beginning of our relationship. And yes, we were. But now, we're on the same side. And so many people are being led astray by this. 99% of abortions are a result of women not wanting their children. Understand that. It's because they don't want to take responsibility. We need to instill that value again, taking responsibility for your actions. We are divorcing ourselves from that and thinking it's okay. The reason we're divorcing ourselves from that is the same reason why she ended up becoming extremely promiscuous at a young age. She left God. If you don't believe in a higher being, if you don't believe in God, well, then you have no moral ground. Where do you get your morals from? You can't derive them from thin air. They have to come from somewhere. You can't just say, well, morals are a physical thing, because they're not. Where do you get your values from? I mean, where do you get your inner being from? We all know that you can't create or destroy energy. Where is this energy flowing through us from? We know that out-of-body experiences are legitimate. How does that take place if there is no soul? If there is no God? It just doesn't make sense. But once you convince yourself that there is no God, well then you can make whatever morals you want to make, because you're calling yourself a God. You know best. It's not true. Once again, Jane Doe, or her real name, Norma McCorvey, even said, hey, I was wrong. I was wrong. Roe v. Wade should be overturned. I'm going to work to overturn it. And that's what she did until she died. And we still have... So just please be aware of the history of Roe v. Wade. Just be aware of it, and be aware that single motherhood is so dangerous. And they're simply trying to separate the family. That's why they want to give you free education until college. That way the state can indoctrinate you all your life and then have you do some job that they'll make for you. That's why you also see politicians saying the government won't guarantee employment for everybody, because eventually what's going to happen is you're just going to end up digging your own graves, literally, probably. I mean, that's what happened in the Soviet Union. They employed everybody and they were just doing pointless jobs that meant nothing, just to do something. Well, stop being manipulated here. They're trying to divide us, trying to say human life isn't valuable, when it is the most valuable thing in the world. And if you don't believe that that is what they're doing, just look at the argument for climate change. It's all man-made. It's all man-made. Yet they leave out the part that the government has been manipulating the weather for so long that it's actually increasing the temperature of the weather and destroying the ozone. Although there are cases now saying that the ozone is repairing itself. See, we won't destroy this planet, guys. We're not going to destroy it. But we think of ourselves now as parasites on this planet, which then leads to this whole nihilistic mindset of, why are humans even here? You know, there is no God. We're here just destroying this beautiful planet, which we can't describe how it works because we don't believe in a God and we don't believe in natural order. So the only thing to do, the logical thing to do in order to restore the beauty of this earth is to get rid of humans, or just leave those who care about the environment. Don't you see they're trying to make climate change the new religion? And part of that is population control. Where does the population control come into place? Abortions. 40 to 50 million babies have died since 1973. 40 to 50 million. Insane. And 99% of them are simply because it was going to inconvenience the mother to have the child. She didn't want to take responsibility for her actions. And I keep hearing the argument, well, then you should be able to charge child support at six weeks. That's stupid. Just don't have sex with somebody who you don't love. Easy. If you don't love the person, don't have sex with him. And I'm not trying to preach as if I'm better than you guys or better than anybody. No, I'm not. See, I'll confess to you guys right now, I struggle with lust a lot, but I pray about it. You know, and I'm disciplining myself. And people don't know what discipline is. Our society is saying disciplining means placing chains and restrictions on people. And we want to break free of all chains and all restrictions and just let you be free. When you're really not being free. You're truly free when you're a disciplined individual and you take responsibility for your actions. You become a prisoner of your vices if you have no discipline. If you just let all your impulses run rampantly, then nothing separates you from the animal. Nothing. So we have to think these things through. I know we're all smart enough to come to these conclusions on our own. Unfortunately, we're just being continuously brainwashed by the media. And if you think you're not, and if you think that's some big conspiracy, ask yourself what an advertiser and a marketer's job is to do. Their job is to convince you to buy their product or do their service or watch their show. In other words, they're manipulating you to buy something. They're manipulating you to watch something. They're manipulating you to make you believe an idea. And now ask yourself, why would they manipulate you to want to believe an idea? Especially one like abortion. Just go back to the whole population control and abortion and climate change and humanity being parasites on this earth. Yeah, that's why. And if this still isn't enough for you guys to be convinced, which I think it should be, why do they call TV shows programs? What are they programming? Why are they programming? Ask yourself these questions. I'm sure the answers you'll come to will be surprising and shocking. They're just trying to control you. Keep you in the herd. Don't drift away. You drift away, you become ostracized. That's what's happening. Don't fall prey to that. See, America, the reason we're so great is because we fought against tyranny and manipulation and coercion. Now, a lot of us have just rolled over and accepted it. But fortunately, there's a lot more who are rising and saying, no. We're in cultural warfare here. And the American tradition is going to be preserved. We're not going to lose it. We're starting to lose it because of this whole diversity agenda. And it's not racist. It's just reality. Diversity is a retarded idea. Let me put this out there for you. Okay. I've already made a video on this. But how much sense does it make if a football team got together and they all had different views? They said, well, I just want to be the star player. I want to take the team to the championship. I just want to play. I don't really care what's going on. And there was no unifying goal. There was nothing keeping them together. There was no unity. It was just pure diversity. Would they ever win a game? No. Think of a nation in the same way. Would we ever be prosperous if we were diverse? No. And where does that term diversity come from? Well, I'll have to do research on that. That's a good question, though. But what I do know is that back in the day, empires used the word diversity in order to divide and conquer. Makes a lot of sense now, right? Why they push diversity? To divide and conquer. If you can't unite the people, well then, guess who's going to take control? The state. Don't fall for these idiotic ideas. Abortion is not a constitutional right. Nowhere in the Constitution. I implore you to read the Constitution and tell me where it says abortion is a right. Like it does with freedom of speech. Like it does with owning guns. You won't find it. You won't find it. I have faith that America is going the right way now. 5 out of 45 states have banned abortion. Roe v. Wade will be overturned. We have a heap of conservative judges now. Not even conservative judges. Take that away. We've just been politicizing the whole judicial branch. It's disgusting. We have judges who will actually do their job. And their job isn't to come up with an opinion. Their job isn't, yes, they have judicial opinions, I get that. But what I mean is, they don't have a right to say the law does what they believe it should do. They're supposed to read the law for what it is. A textualist saying, these are what legislators passed, which means this is what the people want, and we have no say in what the people want or what the legislators pass. All we can do is enforce it. That's their job. And if something isn't right within the law, it is our job as citizens to let it be known to the legislators. That way they can rewrite the laws. That's how our government's supposed to work. They're weaponizing everything to gain more control. It's so obvious. Just take off the blinders, stop watching the BS shows, and just pay attention. Just pay attention to what's going on. It's so obvious. So obvious. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thursday. We will see you again later. Peace.